Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader. Today we're going to look at graded and ungraded mint on card vintage Star Wars figures, mainly later items, Return of the Jedi, a few Power of the Force, a couple of droids figures, but only one or two ESB card backs to talk about today. As you can tell by this thumbnail, I got some very interesting discussion on this one that received a lot of attention on Facebook, and I don't know what to make of it, so I thought I would show you guys, and you guys can talk about it amongst yourselves in the comments. Please do leave a like as you're watching this video. Next up, let's go ahead and dig in. This one was one I sent to my Patreon supporters. I thought it looked really nice, and it was at auction, and this is a 48, I assume, C-back Revenge of the Jedi Zuckuss, and the blister looks like maybe it could be slightly yellow, but if it is, it's very slight. To me, it looks clear. It looks like a clear blister to me. But this one was in pretty great shape, unpunched with the price sticker in the upper right. Very light edge wear to it. I think that this one easily gets an 80 grade, and I feel like any 48C or B-back Revenge of the Jedi is criminally undervalued. I just think that they're really good card backs. Don't get me wrong, there are certain characters that are very, very pricey on this, but $400 for this one, I think that's a pretty fair price. And I think it would probably grade an 80 pretty easily. So nice one there. This was another one I did send out, and this seller watches the show, watches the channel, and he said, hey, I've got some Toll Toys items that I'm putting up for sale. And so this is an Australian Toll Toys. This would be what was released down in the Australia and New Zealand markets. And you can see on the back of the card, this is a 48 back Return of the Jedi transition card for the Neonum offer, but you can tell that it's the Australian release because it's got a Australia New Zealand mail away offer address on the back. Otherwise, very similar to the standard US release. Very, very nice item. And this one was graded by AFA. This is, I think it was labeled a clear blister. I can't tell if it's yellowing slightly or not, but at the end of the day, who particularly cares? You can see there, Neonum offer Australia for Klaatu 65 back. I think, is that correct? 65 back? So that's interesting. The US release is a 48 back, I believe. Yeah, 48 back, but the Neonum offer for the Australian release is a 65 back. So I didn't even notice that when I was putting this together. But interesting kind of change in the card back there. Anyway, this one was listed for 995 Australian dollars, which is 650 US dollars. I have no idea how to price these. You just don't see them very often. I'm sure there's some Toll Toys collectors that would know what this is worth. They probably paid $50 for it back in the day or less. But, to me, I think to get any Toll Toys Australian release, it's very, it's just one of those tough to find items. And to me, that's a price that I'd pay all day long. If you think about what this particular figure would go for on a 65 US card back, clear blister AFA 80, I would think that that's probably in the 250 to 300 range. But I think what makes this one particularly attractive is that it's got the Neonum offer for a Return of the Jedi character. And for the US release cards, they're all transition cards. They're only ESB and Star Wars characters that appeared on that 48 back Return of the Jedi US release. So it's just kind of a cool item. It's just a really cool foreign release and got a lot going for it. Now, to me, I'd pay $650 in a heartbeat for it if I was looking for it. This seller, SW Seller, another person that watches the channel, and he had some later releases that were all high grade, some yellow blisters, but I thought they were worth talking about. This was the B-Wing 79 back A, AFA 85, yellow blister, obviously. That one sold for $150. He also had Prune Face on a 77A back, another AFA 85, very high grade, but obviously a dark yellow blister. $177.50 on that one. And then this one was actually the Palitoy 65C for low grade. And I always thought that Palitoys didn't really yellow that much, but this one did yellow. And I feel like with Palitoys, it's a little easier to find them in clear blister than obviously the US release, but very nice kind of foreign release. And that one sold for $156.50. So if you can live with the yellowing, I thought those were all pretty good deals. Here is the Lili Ledy made in Mexico for squid head. So this is made in Mexico by the Lili Ledy factory for the US market. You can see down there, lower left, made in Mexico. And then it has that factory punch through the card right on the Return of the Jedi. That's almost exactly where that punch is every single time. And sometimes it misses it. Sometimes you'll see these made in Mexico card backs that do not have that punch, but most of them do. And you can also tell, if you look at the back of this 77 back, how kind of matte finish it is versus one of these other 77 backs, such as this one, where it's a much brighter finish on this prune face. So these were produced in the U.S. for the U.S. market by the Straight Kenner factory in Hong Kong, and they always had kind of a nicer, glossier finish versus the squid head, where it's kind of more of a matte finish on the back of that 77 back. But they also do stay clear blister most of the time, 99% of the time, because it's a different type of blister used. So this was a nice one. It was only AFA 75, which held the price down. But, you know, the way I look at it is you're getting a Lili Ledy, most likely, a Lili Ledy figure inside there. So you're getting a Lili Ledy squid head mint on card, presents really nice for $180. And I would argue that a Lili Ledy loose graded squid head, AFA 85, would probably sell for about that same price, if not higher. So I think you're getting a pretty good... Excuse me, I just had a Diet Pepsi. You're getting a pretty good deal there. All right, here we go. So this is one I had on my watch list just because I was going to cover it for my market updates, and I wasn't going to buy it or anything like that. But it's graded CAS 80. This is a 77 back A Princess Leia Organa Inner Combat Poncho. And this one showed up in one of the Facebook groups. I tried to find the post, but I couldn't find it. I don't know if it was taken down or what, but they said that this is a fake price sticker, that the KB Toys, the logo used on this sticker is not the same, and the price point is not the same. So the price point for around then was like $3.99 or thereabouts. This one was $6.99. Now, this one was the Kenner Canada release, so I forgot to mention that. So you can see there at the top, it's got the French language. So this is the Kenner Canada card back. And so I posited it in the post as like, hey, maybe it's Canadian dollars, you know, maybe $6.99 Canadian versus US dollars. And someone said that KB Toys was not present in Canada. So the only other thing I could think of that I didn't bring up in the thing is that maybe the KB Toys was right over the border in Canada. But everyone seemed to think that this is a fake price sticker, fake logo, fake price. The price doesn't match up with what the price was, the suggested retail price for these figures back in the day. But it passed muster with CAS. So either CAS made a mistake or the guys posting it made a mistake. I don't know the answer, but I wanted to point that out, that you got to be really careful, even with stuff that has been supposedly authenticated, that some things do slip by. We've talked about Toy Tonys that slip by grading with AFA and UKG. People can put these fake price stickers on items to cover up litho damage. It just seems weird to me that they would bother doing it on such a common item. This is a 77A Kenner Canada Leia Organa. It's not rare at all. I mean, you can find these pretty much anytime you want to on eBay. So I don't know. I personally question whether this is a fake, but I guess stranger things have happened. I don't know how the grading companies verify that these stickers are not covering up litho tears, because what if that price point had been $2.99? Probably no one would have even bothered noticing it. Maybe they would. I don't know. But I just wanted to point that out, that it got a lot of discussion on Facebook, and I just thought it was an interesting item. Now, it sold for $208.50, which I would argue is below fair market value for what this item is. And, you know, it was labeled clear blister, and it was a 2023 grading. It looks either slightly yellowed at the very top of the blister or has yellowed since grading. I don't know. But, you know, to me, it looks yellowed at the very top of the blister there to the left of the helmet inside the blister. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this item, but it seems like a strange item that has a lot of issues with it that I didn't want to touch, and I wasn't going to buy it anyway. It's not something I'm looking for, but I just wanted to point out that you got to be careful. You got to be careful on eBay. And again, I'm not accusing the seller of anything or anything like that. I'm just discussing what was posted on Facebook. But it's an interesting item. Now, here's one the same seller had that I did want to bid on. I didn't do it, but this is a Palitoy Tri-Logo unpunched for the AT-ST driver. I find it hard to really find Tri-Logos unpunched. They just don't show up that often. But this one was a nice looking example. Graded CAS 80. That one sold for $292. I was thinking about $300 would take it home. And you got to remember, CAS grades Tri-Logos very harshly. I would argue this is more than an 80 grade. 80, 80, 85 were the sub-scores. You know, it does have a little bit of weird stuff going on by the hang tab up there. So maybe this one does get an 80 with everybody else. But that blister looks really nice for an 80. You know, it's got a couple minor dings. So it's to me, this one looks and feels like an 80 plus to me. But, you know, we're splitting hairs at this point. It was a really nice example, though. Next up, 90s Records. This is a channel supporter. He watches my channel, a good friend of mine. He had some items at auction. And I had a lot of these in my what to buy video. He didn't ask me to show them in the what to buy video, but I just wanted to show them because I thought the starting bids were very fair. This was a Tri-Logo Hanan Carbonite graded CAS 75 that sold for $538.88. Pretty fair price there for a tough to find Tri-Logo. Here is the Klaatu on the Klaatu Skiff Guard outfit Tri-Logo. So this is a pretty common factory miscard. And this one sold for $363. That's about what I paid for mine. And mine graded a 75 as well. So pretty fair deal, I think, for what that is. And that's definitely a 75. You can see the wear around the hang tab there. So that's every bit of a 75 to me. Next up was this one. I was really tempted on this one. This was a Lando on the 32 back, I believe. 31 back B. So you could argue this is kind of the debut card here for Lando. Pre-Yoda. And it did have a pretty ugly, in my opinion, Labelle's price sticker, but it was unpunched, clear blister, graded 80 plus. 80, 90, 85 were the sub-scores. So that was tempting at $400. I thought that was a very fair starting bid price. Only one bid, but it did sell for $400. Next up was a Logray CAS 80 plus, clear blister as well. Very nice, 65 back B. That one sold for $300. Zuckus graded CAS 80 plus. This one was a 65A clear blister. Another very tempting one, just light edge wear and maybe some light litho issues at the top of the card there. But that one sold at $300, another very fair price in my opinion. Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight on the 79A back. I think I had this one at one point in my collection, but mine was really yellowed versus this one that was very lightly yellowed. This one was graded AFA 80. And, you know, very nice unpunched example, no price sticker, $400 on that one. That's a pretty good deal, I think, for a tougher to find Luke Jedi. I feel like the 79 back's a little tougher to find than the 77 or the 65s. Here was a clear blister Stormtrooper, and this one is the 65 back C with the Emperor offer. Punched example with a pretty heavy crease in the upper corner there, but it's still got the 80 grade from AFA. Archival case, 75, 85, 80 were the sub-scores. I mean, that's a great looking example there, despite that little crease. I thought that was a pretty good deal at $350. Next up, same seller also had Kia Mall on an unpunched US card for the Droids line, and this one was heavily yellowed. 80 plus from CAS, 85, 80, 90 were the sub-scores on that one. That one sold at $258. Really presents nicely. Great card art on that one as well. I like that one. Here is the Rockstar Chewbacca alternate image Power of the Force that was for sale in a Buy It Now. Say, if I saw a price sticker like that, I'd wonder what's going on there. You know, it's a blank price sticker, and you can see very clearly underneath there that, you know, it's either the Power of the Force logo or it's covering up a litho tear. I don't know. I can't really tell what's going on with that. But it's really questionable, in my opinion. But it passed muster with AFA, so it's not like it's just CAS. And I have no idea what's going on behind that sticker. But the card got a 75 blister 80, figure 85 for an overall 80. But it has a blank price sticker with what potentially could be some kind of weird litho damage behind it. So it's just another example that, grading companies are not perfect, and it's both grading companies here in the U.S., AFA and CAS. So I'm crapping on both of them. All right, I'm not picking sides here, but it's still got the 80 grade, even though, in my opinion, it's a little questionable with that blank price sticker. $19.95 somebody paid for. That's a gross overpay, in my opinion. No offense if you happen to be the one that bought it. I would not pay that. That's not a $2,000 item, but that's what it says it sold for. And then finally, here was an AFA 80 made in Mexico Darth Vader punched example with the Anakin offer. Beautiful clear blister. And, the matte finish on this one doesn't look nearly as noticeable, maybe because of the lighting, but this is a 65 back with the Anakin offer. So that one sold at $700. Big number on that one. Relative, that's about what I paid for my AFA 85. So just interesting sale on that one bid. So anyway, just lots of kind of cool stuff out there. That I think that Toll Toys Klaatu, I didn't realize that there was a difference in the card number. 48 back for the US release versus 65 backs with the Nien Nunb offer for the Toll Toys. That was a really cool item, and just wanted to share that, as well as some other kind of cool later releases that have sold here recently on eBay. I'll probably be back tomorrow with some other items that sold for the Power of the Force and a few other Return of the Jedi type items. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.